The quality of your thinking determines the quality of your life. Everything you do, everything you achieve, and everything you become starts in your mind. The difference between those who struggle and those who succeed isn't luck, intelligence, or talent. It's how they think. Most people go through life reacting to whatever happens, letting circumstances control their choices. But those who master critical thinking take control. They don't just accept information at face value. They don't let emotions dictate their decisions. They don't waste time on distractions. Instead, they think with clarity, question everything, and make decisions that move them forward. If you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure about which direction to take, it's not because you're incapable. It's because you haven't trained your mind to think in a way that serves you. Schools teach subjects, but they rarely teach how to think. Society tells you what to believe, but it doesn't show you how to separate truth from noise. That's why so many people fall into the trap of living on autopilot, doing what they've always done, making the same mistakes, and never realizing there's a better way. But once you start thinking critically, everything changes. You gain control over your choices. You stop letting emotions cloud your judgment. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You begin to see opportunities where others see problems. You become the kind of person who can solve challenges, navigate uncertainty, and stay focused on long-term success. This isn't about memorizing techniques or following a set of rules. It's about developing a mindset that makes you sharper, wiser, and more effective in everything you do. It's about learning how to ask the right questions, challenge assumptions, and make decisions that align with your goals. Critical thinking isn't just a skill. It's a way of life. By the time you finish this book, you won't just think differently. You'll live differently. You'll make better choices, communicate more effectively, and approach every challenge with confidence. And when you master the way you think, you master the way you live. Because at the end of the day, success isn't about luck. It's about making the right decisions over and over again. If you're ready to take control of your future, to think at a higher level, and to create the kind of life you truly want, then this journey is for you. The world belongs to those who can think for themselves. It's time to become one of them. Chapter 1. What is critical thinking? Critical thinking is not just about intelligence or accumulating knowledge. It is a way of approaching life with clarity, reasoning, and a structured approach to making decisions. It is the ability to think independently, to analyze without bias, and to evaluate situations based on logic rather than emotions. Many people believe they are thinking critically, yet their thoughts are often shaped by unexamined beliefs, personal biases, and outside influences that cloud their judgment. To master critical thinking, one must first understand what it truly means and why it plays such a vital role in personal growth and success. Every day, decisions shape the course of life, from the small choices that go unnoticed to the major ones that alter a future. Without critical thinking, many of these decisions are made impulsively or based on faulty reasoning. When people react rather than reflect, they often find themselves in situations they later regret. True critical thinkers take a step back and analyze before making a move. They pause, examine the facts, and consider different perspectives before forming an opinion or taking action. Many struggle with filtering truth from falsehood. In an age where information is constantly flowing, separating fact from fiction has become a necessary skill. News headlines, social media posts, and persuasive arguments are designed to manipulate emotions, making it easy to accept misinformation without question. The critical thinker does not simply believe everything they read or hear. Instead, they question sources, check credibility, and seek evidence before forming a conclusion. They know that just because something is widely believed does not make it true. Emotions are powerful, but they often lead to irrational decisions. People make choices based on fear, anger, excitement, or frustration, and later realize they acted without clear judgment. A strong thinker recognizes emotions, but does not allow them to dictate their actions. They separate feelings from logic, taking a moment to evaluate the situation objectively. This ability to detach emotions from decision-making leads to better choices, fewer regrets, and a more stable mindset. Biases distort reality in ways that are not always easy to recognize. Every person carries certain assumptions based on past experiences, upbringing, or societal influences. These biases can shape thoughts without being noticed, leading to conclusions that feel right but are not necessarily based on truth. A critical thinker is aware of their own biases and actively works to challenge them. They seek alternative viewpoints, question their own assumptions, and remain open to changing their perspective when faced with new evidence. Developing this level of thinking requires deliberate practice. It starts with asking the right questions. Instead of accepting information at face value, a critical thinker digs deeper. Who is providing this information? What is their motive? Is there evidence to support this claim? By consistently questioning and evaluating, they strengthen their ability to think independently and make well-informed decisions. Another essential aspect of critical thinking is perspective shifting. Seeing an issue from multiple angles allows for a broader and more accurate understanding. When confronted with a challenge, stepping into someone else's shoes can reveal insights that were not immediately apparent. Those who can view situations from different perspectives gain a deeper understanding and develop the ability to navigate conflicts and solve problems more effectively. Every thought process and decision can be refined through reflection. At the end of each day, taking a few moments to analyze how decisions were made, where emotions influenced actions, and what could have been done differently helps in building a sharper mind. This practice strengthens awareness and gradually eliminates poor habits that interfere with clear thinking. In personal growth, the ability to think critically determines progress. Those who apply rational thought to their self-improvement efforts make steady advancements in their lives. They set realistic goals, assess their weaknesses honestly, and develop strategies based on logical reasoning rather than wishful thinking. Instead of following trends blindly or adopting beliefs without question, they build their own path based on solid principles and sound judgment. One of the most powerful benefits of mastering critical thinking is gaining control over one's own mind. Many people are easily influenced by opinions, advertisements, or peer pressure. They adopt views simply because they are popular, rather than because they have examined the issue thoroughly. The independent thinker is not swayed by trends or manipulated by clever rhetoric. They form their own conclusions, stand firm in their beliefs, and make choices that align with their values, rather than external influences. Training the mind to think critically is a lifelong process, but it begins with a conscious decision to approach life with greater awareness. By questioning, analyzing, and reflecting consistently, thinking becomes sharper and decision-making more precise. The ability to navigate life with clarity, resist manipulation, and make sound choices is a skill that pays dividends in every aspect of life. Success, happiness, and personal growth are all deeply connected to how well one thinks. The sharper the thinking, the better the outcomes. Every person has the potential to develop this skill, and the effort to do so leads to a life of purpose, confidence, and wisdom. The transformation begins the moment a commitment is made to stop thinking passively and start thinking critically. Chapter 2. The Art of Asking Better Questions. The way questions are asked determines the quality of answers received. Many people go through life accepting things as they are, never challenging assumptions or seeking deeper understanding. They settle for the first explanation given, without considering alternative possibilities. True growth begins with curiosity, and curiosity thrives on the ability to ask better questions. The strength of a person's thinking is directly linked to their ability to frame thoughtful, meaningful inquiries. Asking the right questions opens doors to new perspectives, uncovers hidden truths, and leads to smarter decision-making. Many people assume that asking questions is simply about seeking information, but in reality, it is much more. The right questions sharpen focus, clear away confusion, and allow a person to analyze situations with greater depth. Instead of passively accepting what is presented, a critical thinker actively engages with the information, breaking it down to understand its validity. Poor questions lead to vague, unhelpful answers. On the other hand, precise and well-structured questions lead to clarity, insight, and solutions. The goal is not to ask questions for the sake of it, but to ask the kind of questions that challenge assumptions and push the mind to think critically. The best questions dig beneath the surface and reveal what is not immediately obvious. Instead of accepting things at face value, critical thinkers look beyond the first layer. When faced with a piece of information, they don't just ask, "Is this true?" but rather, "How do I know this is true? What evidence supports this? Could there be another explanation?" These deeper inquiries expose weak reasoning and help avoid misleading conclusions. Developing this habit strengthens the ability to think independently and reduces the likelihood of being influenced by misinformation or flawed arguments. Many people fall into the habit of asking confirmation-seeking questions rather than truth-seeking ones. They ask questions that align with what they already believe instead of seeking challenges to their viewpoint. This approach creates an echo chamber, reinforcing biases rather than breaking them. A strong thinker resists this tendency by deliberately asking questions that test their own assumptions. They seek out different perspectives, challenge their own opinions, and remain open to the possibility that they may be wrong. Growth comes not from defending existing beliefs, but from the willingness to reshape them in light of new understanding. Clarity in thinking begins with precision in questioning. Vague questions lead to confusion, while well-defined ones lead to meaningful insights. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening?" a better approach is what specific factors are contributing to this outcome. Instead of asking, "How do I get better?" a sharper question is, "What small daily habits can I implement to improve in this area?" The more specific the question, the more actionable the answer becomes. Learning to refine questions in this way results in clearer thinking, more effective problem-solving, and greater confidence in decision-making. The ability to ask better questions also plays a crucial role in conversations and relationships. Many misunderstandings arise because people do not ask for clarification or do not take the time to understand different perspectives. Instead of making assumptions, a critical thinker asks, "What do you mean by that?" or "Can you explain your reasoning?" This approach leads to deeper discussions, stronger connections, and fewer conflicts. When people feel heard and understood, communication improves and trust is strengthened. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history have come from those who refused to accept the obvious and instead asked better questions. Scientists, philosophers, and innovators have all used questioning to challenge the status quo and uncover new possibilities. They did not settle for the first answer, but kept digging, refining, and challenging their own understanding. This mindset is just as useful in daily life, whether making career choices, evaluating information, or solving personal challenges. The ability to question deeply leads to better outcomes. Curiosity fuels the desire to ask questions, but patience is required to seek meaningful answers. Many people give up too quickly, accepting the easiest or most convenient explanation. The most insightful thinkers do not rush to conclusions. They sit with uncertainty, explore multiple angles, and resist the urge to take shortcuts in reasoning. This patience allows for deeper understanding and more accurate judgments. Those who take the time to ask better questions are rewarded with greater clarity and confidence in their thinking. Learning to ask better questions is not about appearing smart or challenging others for the sake of argument. It's about developing a sharper mind, making better choices, and uncovering deeper truths. Each day presents opportunities to refine this skill, from the way conversations are approached to how decisions are made. Questioning becomes a powerful tool for self-improvement. The habit of asking better questions leads to a more thoughtful, informed, and intentional way of living. No one is born with perfect critical thinking skills. They are developed over time through conscious effort and practice. Each question asked is a step toward mastering this ability. With time, the process becomes second nature, transforming the way problems are approached, challenges are navigated, and knowledge is acquired. The world does not change just because better questions are asked, but the way it is understood and engaged with does. This shift in mindset makes all the difference between those who passively accept life and those who actively shape it with intelligence and purpose. Chapter 3. Thinking rationally, not emotionally. Every day we are faced with decisions, big and small. Some of these decisions have immediate consequences, while others ripple through our lives in ways we might not even realize. The way we think through these decisions can make all the difference between success and failure, happiness and regret. The challenge. Too often, we let emotions cloud our judgment, steering us away from what's rational and sound. It's only natural. Humans are emotional creatures, and our feelings often take the driver's seat. But when we let our emotions dictate our choices, we risk making decisions that are reactive rather than thoughtful, impulsive rather than intentional. Rational thinking isn't just about logic and reason. It's about choosing to focus on what is true, what is effective, and what serves our long-term goals. It's about learning to separate our feelings from the facts and making decisions that reflect our best interests, not our immediate impulses. The journey toward rational thinking is a process, and like any skill, it takes practice. But the good news is, you can train yourself to think more rationally, starting with the everyday moments where emotions often take over. When faced with a situation, our first instinct is often emotional. Someone cuts us off in traffic, and we feel our blood pressure rise. We receive critical feedback at work, and defensiveness kicks in. Our partner says something that irritates us, and frustration takes over. In all these moments, our emotions are automatic. They surge, often without our consent, and yet, in these very moments, we have the power to pause and choose a more rational response. The first step to thinking rationally is recognizing that emotions, while powerful and real, don't always lead us to the best conclusions. Take a moment to reflect on times when you've acted emotionally. Maybe you've made a snap judgment about someone based on a brief encounter, or let frustration dictate your actions in a challenging conversation. Think about how those choices turned out. Often we regret acting in the heat of the moment because we realize that our feelings were distorted by the immediate circumstances, not by the bigger picture. Emotional reactions can be intense, but they are also fleeting. Rational thinking, on the other hand, is steady and thoughtful. It doesn't rush to conclusions. It carefully evaluates the situation, considering all the facts before deciding on the best course of action. Being able to think rationally means taking a step back when emotions rise. It means not allowing anger, fear, or excitement to dictate our responses. In those moments when you feel overwhelmed, pause, breathe. Create a small distance between you and the situation. By doing so, you give yourself the chance to regain perspective, to sort through the emotions, and come to a conclusion that's grounded in reason. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. It simply means not letting them control your decision-making process. When you're faced with an emotionally charged situation, take a moment to ask yourself a few key questions. What are the facts here? What is true, regardless of how I feel about this? What is the long-term impact of this decision? The answers to these questions will help you cut through the emotional fog and focus on what really matters. It's easy to get caught up in how we feel, but emotions don't always tell us the full story. By grounding yourself in rational thinking, you can start to make decisions that are not just reactionary, but deliberate. Thinking rationally isn't just about avoiding emotional decisions. It's also about using your emotions to inform your thinking, not control it. Emotions are signals. They tell us something about our internal state and the world around us. They're useful tools for understanding what we care about, what triggers us, and what we need to pay attention to. But those signals should be processed and understood, not acted upon impulsively. If something makes you angry, for example, ask yourself why it has such a strong effect on you. What underlying belief or value is being challenged? Understanding the root cause of your emotions gives you a more rational foundation to act from, rather than just reacting on autopilot. Another key aspect of rational thinking is perspective. Often we are so wrapped up in our own point of view that we fail to see other angles. Rational thinking involves stepping outside of your immediate experience and considering other possibilities. How would someone else view this situation? What are the different outcomes depending on the approach you take? Broadening your perspective helps you see the bigger picture, which is essential for making decisions that serve your long-term well-being. Take a difficult conversation, for example. You and a colleague disagree on a project approach. Emotions might start to build. Frustration or defensiveness could easily take over. In this moment, it's helpful to pause and consider the situation from a more rational standpoint. What is the desired outcome? Is it to win the argument, or is it to find a solution that works for both of you? When you step back and look at the situation from a neutral perspective, you may find that the most effective course of action is to focus on collaboration, not confrontation. Rational thinking helps you stay focused on the end goal, not the emotional noise that can cloud your judgment. One of the reasons emotional thinking can be so powerful is that it often feels urgent. We live in a world that constantly demands our attention. From the ringing of our phones to the emails piling up in our inbox, we're encouraged to make quick decisions, often based on our initial feelings or instincts. However, this urgency is often the enemy of rational thought. Rational thinking requires space and time. It thrives in moments of calm, where you can reflect, consider, and weigh your options. When you're rushed, it's easy to fall back on emotional responses that may not serve you in the long run. To make rational thinking a habit, it's important to practice it consistently. Start with small decisions, like how you respond to minor frustrations in your day-to-day life. The more you practice, the more natural it will become to approach bigger decisions with clarity and thoughtfulness. When faced with a challenge, ask yourself, what are the facts here? What do I need to understand before making a decision? Make it a point to actively engage your rational mind, not just your emotions, in every situation. Over time, you'll find that your capacity for rational thinking grows, and you'll be able to navigate even the most emotionally charged moments with a sense of calm and control. Rational thinking isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about mastering them. It's about recognizing that emotions are part of who you are, but they don't have to run the show. By learning to think rationally, you create the space to make decisions that reflect your true values, not just your immediate feelings. You begin to respond to the world not from a place of reaction, but from a place of thoughtful action. And while it takes effort, the rewards are worth it. When you start making decisions based on reason rather than emotion, you'll notice that your life becomes more intentional and focused. Your relationships improve because you're no longer reacting defensively or emotionally. You're engaging with others thoughtfully and respectfully. Your career gains momentum because you're making clear-headed decisions that drive you toward your goals. And most importantly, you gain a sense of inner peace because you're no longer at the mercy of your emotions. You're the one in control. Emotional intelligence and rational thinking go hand in hand. Being able to identify your emotions is a powerful skill, but so is the ability to think beyond them. When you can master both, you open the door to a life of clarity, purpose, and direction. It's not about denying your feelings. It's about understanding them, processing them, and using them to inform your rational decisions, not overwhelm them. The journey to thinking rationally is ongoing. It's about making choices every day to slow down, reflect, and think carefully before acting. It's about trusting that when you take the time to consider the facts, to assess the situation logically, you'll make better decisions for yourself and those around you. And as you make rational thinking a habit, you'll find that it becomes second nature, guiding you through even the most emotionally intense situations with calm, clarity, and confidence. Chapter 4. Filtering Truth from Noise in the Age of Information. We are constantly bombarded with news, opinions, and advertisements. It's harder than ever to separate truth from fiction, fact from speculation, or important messages from meaningless chatter. With a few taps on a screen, we can access endless streams of information, much of it tailored to us based on algorithms that understand what we like, what we search for, and even what we might be most likely to click on next. The problem is that much of this information is designed to catch our attention, not necessarily to inform us. We live in a world where the noise is constant, where every opinion, every story, and every fact seems equally urgent. The ability to sift through this noise, to discern what is real from what is manufactured, is a skill that can transform your decision-making and protect your mental space. It's not about rejecting all sources of information, but learning how to critically evaluate them, weigh their reliability, and separate what truly matters from the distractions. The process is both a mental skill and a habit, one that anyone can cultivate with practice. When you think about the flood of information around you, it's overwhelming. Consider how much you've consumed just today. The news you've read, the social media posts you've scrolled through, the messages you've received. How much of that information is useful? How much of it has enriched your understanding or helped you make better decisions? It's easy to get caught up in the noise and start believing that more information means more wisdom. But in reality, it's often the opposite. We become overloaded, and the quality of the information we consume begins to deteriorate. At some point, we end up questioning what's real, who to trust, and what is worth paying attention to. The first step to filtering truth from noise is developing a critical awareness of how information is presented to us. Media, social platforms, advertisements, even casual conversations all have a way of framing things that can shape our perception. They're not always presenting information objectively. Often, they're trying to sell us something, either a product, an idea, or a point of view. The trick is to recognize when that's happening and to approach the information with a healthy sense of skepticism. This doesn't mean assuming everything is a lie, but rather understanding that every source has a bias, an agenda, or a perspective. Being aware of this is the first step in evaluating what you're seeing and hearing. Consider the news, for example. The same story can be reported by multiple outlets, each with a different angle. One may focus on the sensational aspects, another on the political implications, and yet another may downplay the event altogether. Which one do you believe? The key is to look beyond the headline and dig deeper into the substance of the story. What are the facts? What are the sources of information? Who is behind the reporting? When you take a moment to reflect on these questions, you can start to see where the noise is and where the truth might lie. News is often not as simple as it seems, and taking the time to investigate, to look for primary sources, or to cross-check multiple outlets can help you see the fuller picture. But it's not just in the news that noise clouds our judgment. On social media, the noise is almost constant. Every minute, new posts, tweets, and videos appear in your feed, often designed to trigger emotions. Whether it's a shocking image, an exaggerated claim, or a headline that seems too good to be true, it's easy to get swept up in the moment. Social media has created a world where instant reactions take precedence over thoughtful reflection. It's a world where we like, comment, and share based on impulse rather than evidence. The problem with social media is that it thrives on outrage, on controversy, on anything that gets a reaction. It doesn't always care about truth. It cares about engagement, clicks, and attention. This is where the noise really comes into play. Posts that spark outrage or that cater to our biases tend to get the most attention, not necessarily the posts that are fact-checked or that promote thoughtful discourse. As a result, we can easily get caught in echo chambers, where we only hear what we want to hear and see the world through a narrow lens. So how do you filter truth from this kind of noise? It starts with pausing before reacting. When you see something that stirs you up, whether it's a post on social media, a headline in the news, or a conversation with a friend, take a moment to step back. Instead of immediately liking or sharing, ask yourself a few questions. Is this information verified? Where is it coming from? Does it align with what I know to be true? Or is it challenging my biases? By taking this step, you're starting to distance yourself from the noise and beginning to engage with information more thoughtfully. Another way to filter the noise is to seek out diverse sources. Relying on a single news outlet, one social media platform, or a particular group of people can limit your perspective. The more sources you expose yourself to, the more complete your understanding will be. This doesn't mean following every opinion out there. Rather, it's about stepping outside of your comfort zone and seeking a variety of viewpoints, even ones you might not agree with. This practice broadens your understanding and helps you separate the signal from the noise. And then, there's the personal noise we all carry, the biases and beliefs that influence how we interpret the world. We all have our own set of filters based on our upbringing, experiences, and personal values. These filters can sometimes distort how we perceive information. Our emotions, our desires, and our fears can influence what we believe, regardless of what the facts say. Recognizing your own biases is an essential step in filtering the noise. Are you more likely to believe something because it confirms what you already think? Are you ignoring evidence that contradicts your beliefs? Awareness of your own biases helps you take a step back and look at information with a more objective mindset. One of the biggest challenges in filtering truth from noise is the speed at which information travels today. The constant stream of updates, messages, and notifications makes it easy to get caught up in the urgency of the moment. But when you slow down and really think about the information you're consuming, you allow yourself to make better decisions. You allow yourself to ask the right questions, to dig deeper, and to ensure that you're not just reacting based on the latest headline or social media post. In a world that prioritizes speed, there's power in taking your time. Developing the ability to filter truth from noise also means learning to trust your instincts. This doesn't mean ignoring facts or evidence, but it does mean being in tune with your own sense of what feels right. When something doesn't sit well with you, whether it's a claim you're reading, a conversation you're having, or a decision you're making, take note of that feeling. Often, your gut instinct is a sign that something is off. It's worth exploring why you feel that way, and whether it's based on a rational concern or just a gut reaction. Filtering truth from noise isn't just about consuming information. It's also about how you share it. In today's world, we are all creators and distributors of information. Whether it's a post on Facebook, a tweet, or a message to a friend, we have the power to spread information. Before sharing, it's important to ask yourself, is this true? Do I know this is verified? What impact will sharing this have on others? Are there other perspectives I'm overlooking? By becoming more mindful of the information we put into the world, we help create a space where truth can rise above the noise. The ability to filter truth from noise is one of the most important skills in today's world. It allows you to make informed decisions, avoid misinformation, and engage with the world in a way that's grounded in reality. It helps you protect your mental space and engage with information thoughtfully, rather than getting swept away in the constant barrage of distractions. It's a skill that takes practice, but the more you hone it, the more powerful it becomes. When you learn to filter out the noise, you make space for clarity, truth, and wisdom. And that clarity, in turn, helps you make better decisions, live with greater intention, and engage more meaningfully with the world around you. Chapter 5. Smart Decision-Making. Life presents us with decisions every day, both big and small. Some of these decisions feel insignificant. What to have for lunch, what show to watch, or whether to take the bus or drive. Others are far more consequential, like choosing a career path, deciding where to live, or determining how to invest your money. What often stands out across all decisions, however, is the importance of making choices that align with our long-term well-being, happiness, and goals. The reality is, poor decisions can have long-lasting consequences, while well-thought-out decisions can propel us forward in ways we might not even immediately realize. The key to making smarter decisions is to shift the way we think about decision-making itself. Often, we approach decisions in a hurried or emotional state, relying on gut instincts or external pressures to guide us. While there's nothing wrong with trusting our instincts in certain situations, relying solely on them can be a risky proposition. Smart decision-making involves a combination of clarity, patience, logic, and reflection. It's a process that, once practiced, can become second nature and lead us toward better outcomes in every area of our lives. Consider the small, everyday choices. When faced with the decision of what to eat, it's easy to give in to cravings or convenience. You might opt for fast food because it's quick and easy, or because it's something you've been craving all day. But when you think about the long-term impact of this decision, the picture changes. If your choice is based on short-term pleasure rather than long-term health, the consequences, both for your physical well-being and your energy levels, can pile up over time. This simple decision, repeated over and over, may lead to poor health choices, fatigue, and a sense of sluggishness that affects your mood and productivity. Now, take a moment to reflect on bigger decisions, like the career moves you make, or the relationships you cultivate. It's easy to get caught up in what feels good in the moment, or to jump into things because of external pressures, such as salary offers or societal expectations. However, these decisions often come with deeper consequences. Taking a job just for the paycheck might mean sacrificing personal fulfillment, while entering into a relationship for comfort might lead to deeper dissatisfaction in the long run. These kinds of decisions, when made impulsively or without careful consideration, can steer you off course from what you truly want in life. Smart decision-making requires you to pause and ask yourself the right questions before making any significant choice. It's important to take a step back and assess the situation. What is the potential long-term impact of this decision? Will this choice bring you closer to your goals, or will it set you back? How does this decision align with your values? These questions might sound simple, but in the rush of daily life, we often neglect them. We jump into things without fully evaluating the impact, and then we find ourselves questioning the results later. The first part of smart decision-making is developing the habit of slowing down. When faced with a big decision, allow yourself the time to reflect. In our fast-paced world, it's tempting to make snap judgments. Yet the most successful decisions are made when we take the time to carefully weigh the options. Give yourself space to think and to look beyond the immediate rewards or challenges. This can be difficult in a world that constantly pushes us to act quickly. However, when you embrace the habit of pausing before deciding, you increase your chances of making thoughtful choices. Along with taking your time, gathering information is essential. Making smart decisions doesn't mean simply relying on your intuition. It means seeking out the facts, exploring all the options, and understanding the potential outcomes. Whether you're deciding on a new job, a financial investment, or even a new fitness routine, it's important to have as much information as possible. The more informed you are, the clearer the decision becomes. Don't just take things at face value. Look deeper. Ask questions. Do the research. Talk to others who have experience. Knowledge is a powerful tool that enables you to make better decisions, and the more you arm yourself with the facts, the more confident you'll feel in your choices. Another critical aspect of smart decision-making is learning to balance logic with emotion. Emotions play a huge role in our decisions. They can motivate us to act, warn us about potential danger, and guide us toward what we value most. However, emotions can also cloud our judgment, especially when they are strong. A fear of failure might stop us from pursuing something we deeply desire, while excitement might push us into a decision without considering the risks. The key is to acknowledge your emotions, but not let them be the sole driver of your decisions. Think logically about the situation. What is the best course of action based on the information available? How will this decision impact you in the short and long term? Making smart decisions also means being willing to accept that not every choice will be perfect. There is no such thing as a decision that guarantees success every time. Mistakes are inevitable, and part of becoming better at making decisions is learning from the outcomes, both positive and negative. When you do make a choice that doesn't turn out the way you hoped, reflect on it without judgment. What went wrong? What can you learn from this experience? The more you learn from your mistakes, the better equipped you'll be to handle future decisions with more wisdom and confidence. At times, we can become overwhelmed by the number of choices we face. The sheer volume of decisions, what to wear, what to eat, what path to take in life, can create a sense of decision fatigue. This can lead to hasty or poor choices. One way to avoid decision fatigue is to simplify your options. In situations where you have too many choices, narrow them down. Focus on the few options that align with your values, your goals, and your long-term well-being. By eliminating unnecessary distractions, you allow yourself to focus on what truly matters. It's also important to practice decision-making in smaller situations. The more you practice making smart choices in your everyday life, the better you'll become at handling the bigger decisions. Every time you decide what to eat, what to buy, or how to manage your time, you are exercising your decision-making muscles. Over time, these small decisions add up and improve your ability to make larger, more complex choices. By practicing the art of decision-making daily, you create a habit of thinking critically, weighing options, and acting with purpose. Sometimes, we face situations where there is no clear-cut answer. When the options seem equally good or bad, it's easy to feel stuck. In these moments, it can help to turn to your values and long-term goals. Ask yourself, which choice will bring you closer to the person you want to be? Which one aligns with your bigger purpose? When the decision feels overwhelming, returning to your core values can provide clarity and help you make a choice that aligns with your authentic self. Equally important is learning to embrace uncertainty. In many cases, smart decisions require a certain level of risk. Whether it's changing careers, moving to a new city, or taking on a new challenge, stepping into the unknown can feel intimidating. The truth is, there will never be a decision that guarantees a perfect outcome. What matters most is your ability to assess the risks, consider the potential rewards, and make the best choice based on what you know. Even when things don't go as planned, making a decision with full awareness and intention means you can pivot, adjust, and continue moving forward. Trust yourself. As you develop the habit of making smarter decisions, you'll find that you become more attuned to your own instincts and judgment. You'll begin to trust that you have the ability to navigate life's choices with wisdom and confidence. Over time, you'll notice that the more thoughtful and intentional your decisions are, the better your outcomes will be. Trust that you have the capacity to make choices that serve your long-term growth, happiness, and success. Smart decision-making is a skill that improves with practice, reflection, and time. It's not about making perfect choices all the time, but about approaching each decision with care, attention, and a clear understanding of its potential impact. When you take the time to evaluate your options, balance emotion with logic, and align your decisions with your values, you set yourself up for a life that is intentional, fulfilling, and aligned with your goals. Every decision you make is an opportunity to learn, grow, and move closer to the life you want to create. By making smarter decisions today, you shape the future you desire. Chapter 6. Problem Solving Like a Pro. Life is full of challenges, obstacles, and unexpected twists. No matter how much we plan, things rarely go exactly the way we envision. Problems come in all shapes and sizes. Some are minor inconveniences, like misplacing your keys, while others are much more significant, like dealing with a health issue or facing a financial setback. Regardless of the nature of the problem, the ability to solve problems effectively can make all the difference in how we navigate through life. It's one of the most valuable skills you can develop, as it affects every part of your life, from personal relationships to career success to financial well-being. The good news is, Problem solving is not an innate talent that only a few lucky individuals are born with. It's a skill that anyone can cultivate with practice. In fact, problem solving is as much about mindset and approach as it is about finding a solution. The key is to view problems not as roadblocks, but as opportunities to grow, learn, and improve. When you adopt a problem-solving mindset, challenges become stepping stones that lead to greater clarity, understanding, and strength. To start, consider how you typically react when faced with a problem. Do you feel overwhelmed, frustrated, or defeated? Many people experience these emotions when something goes wrong, and it's completely natural to feel upset when things aren't going according to plan. But if you let these emotions take over, they can cloud your judgment and prevent you from finding a practical solution. The first step in effective problem solving is to take a step back and detach yourself emotionally from the situation. Take a deep breath, ground yourself, and approach the problem with a calm and clear mindset. Emotions are part of being human, but they should not drive your decisions. Once you've created some emotional distance, the next step is to define the problem clearly. Sometimes we can become so wrapped up in the feelings around the situation that we don't even fully understand what the issue is. Take the time to break the problem down and identify exactly what is going wrong. The clearer you are about the nature of the problem, the easier it will be to come up with a solution. For example, if you're feeling stressed about a project at work, ask yourself what specifically is causing the stress. Is it a lack of time? Are you unsure of the task at hand? Or do you feel unsupported by your team? Getting to the root cause of the problem gives you the clarity you need to move forward. Another powerful tool in problem solving is identifying the desired outcome. What do you want to achieve? What would the solution look like? When you focus on the end goal, it helps you stay motivated and gives you a sense of direction. It's easy to get bogged down in the details and become overwhelmed by all the things that need to be done. But if you keep your eyes on the prize, the end result, it helps you stay focused and move forward. Whether it's finishing a project, fixing a broken relationship, or overcoming a personal challenge, knowing what success looks like helps you stay on track. Once you've defined the problem and your desired outcome, it's time to brainstorm potential solutions. At this stage, it's important to open your mind to a wide range of possibilities. Don't settle for the first solution that comes to mind, and don't assume that you already know what will work. Sometimes, the most creative and effective solutions are the ones that seem unconventional or outside of the box. Give yourself permission to think freely and explore all the different angles. It's okay if your ideas don't seem perfect at first. This is about gathering as many options as possible. When you have a list of potential solutions, the next step is to evaluate them. Which ones are realistic? Which ones are practical and feasible, given the resources and time available to you? It's also important to consider the consequences of each option. What will happen if you choose this solution? Will it lead you closer to your desired outcome, or will it create more problems? Take time to weigh the pros and cons of each solution and try to anticipate the long-term effects of your decisions. Often, we choose the quickest solution because it's easier or less uncomfortable. But the best solution is the one that addresses the problem at its core and provides lasting results. At this point, you might start to feel some uncertainty or fear about making the wrong choice. It's perfectly normal to experience doubt, especially when the stakes are high. But remember, no decision is ever guaranteed to be perfect, and the key to success is learning from each experience. Even if you make a mistake, you gain valuable insight that can help you make better decisions in the future. In fact, Some of the most successful people in the world have failed multiple times before they found the right solution. Failure is not the end. It's simply part of the process. So trust yourself and take action, knowing that you can correct if needed. Once you've made a decision, it's time to implement the solution. This is often where things start to feel real. The ideas and strategies you've thought through now need to be put into action. At this stage, it's important to stay focused and committed, even if obstacles arise. Problems often resurface or evolve, and you may find that you need to adjust your approach along the way. This is where your resilience comes in. A good problem solver doesn't give up when the first solution doesn't work perfectly. They remain flexible and adapt to the situation. It's about being persistent and willing to iterate until you find the right path forward. After you've implemented the solution, the next step is to assess the results. Did it work? Did it bring you closer to your desired outcome? Reflection is a crucial part of the problem-solving process. It's easy to move on to the next task without taking the time to evaluate what just happened. But by pausing to assess the effectiveness of your solution, you give yourself the opportunity to learn and grow. If the solution didn't work as expected, that's okay. It's an opportunity to learn more about the problem and refine your approach. If the solution was successful, take note of what worked so you can apply that knowledge to future problems. Problem solving is a skill that improves with practice. The more problems you tackle, the better you get at understanding the dynamics at play, the resources available to you, and the strategies that are most effective. Over time, you'll find that you become more confident and quicker at addressing challenges. You'll also learn to spot potential problems before they become major issues, allowing you to take proactive steps to prevent them. This proactive mindset is key to staying ahead and minimizing the impact of problems when they arise. It's also helpful to develop a mindset of curiosity. When a problem arises, don't view it as something to avoid or fear, but as an opportunity to learn something new. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? What can I improve on? Each challenge is a lesson in disguise, and approaching problems with a growth mindset enables you to turn every obstacle into an opportunity for personal development. The more you embrace problem solving as a continuous learning process, the more resilient and adaptable you become. When you begin to solve problems like a pro, you'll notice the positive impact it has on all aspects of your life. You'll feel more in control of your circumstances, more confident in your decision-making, and more capable of handling the unexpected. Instead of being overwhelmed by problems, you'll see them as opportunities to test your skills and sharpen your ability to think critically. And as you continue to develop this problem-solving mindset, you'll find that life's challenges become less intimidating and more manageable, no matter how big or small they may be. Problem-solving is not just about finding solutions. It's about developing the resilience, creativity, and confidence to face whatever challenges life throws your way. The more you practice, the better you'll become at turning obstacles into stepping stones and at navigating the twists and turns of life with a clear, focused mind. Problem solving is a skill that serves you in every area of your life, helping you not only address the problems you face, but also grow into a stronger, wiser person along the way. Chapter 7. Self-discipline through critical thinking. Self-discipline is a cornerstone of success. It's what separates those who achieve their goals from those who fall short. It's the ability to stay focused on long-term objectives, even when faced with distractions, setbacks, or challenges. But it's not just about willpower or forcefully sticking to a rigid schedule. Self-discipline is deeply connected to critical thinking. When you develop the ability to think critically, you gain a deeper understanding of why self-discipline matters and how it can help you reach your full potential. The key to self-discipline is understanding the bigger picture. It's not about making yourself do something that you hate just for the sake of doing it. It's about making conscious decisions to invest your time and energy in activities that will move you closer to your long-term goals. It's about making choices that align with your values and understanding the cost of not following through on your commitments. Critical thinking helps you realize the importance of discipline by allowing you to think beyond the immediate discomfort or temptation and focus on the long-term benefits. When faced with a task you don't feel like doing, the immediate impulse might be to avoid it. We all have moments when we'd rather scroll through social media, watch TV, or do something else that's easier and more enjoyable. But self-discipline requires you to pause in those moments and ask yourself some key questions. Is this the best use of my time right now? Will this decision help me achieve my goals? How will I feel in the long term if I put this off again? By taking a step back and using critical thinking, you give yourself the chance to make a better decision, one that aligns with your goals rather than your impulses. The power of self-discipline lies in its ability to shift your focus from short-term pleasure to long-term success. Every time you choose to take action toward your goals, even when you don't feel like it, you are reinforcing a pattern of behavior that makes achieving those goals more likely. But this requires you to consistently evaluate the cost of your choices and understand the impact they will have in the future. Critical thinking sharpens your awareness of the long-term consequences of your decisions. It makes you realize that avoiding discomfort now might cost you dearly in the future. Building self-discipline is like training a muscle. It takes time, effort, and consistent practice. Just like you can't expect to lift a heavy weight on your first try, you can't expect to have perfect self-discipline from the start. However, each time you practice self-discipline, you strengthen that muscle. Over time, it becomes easier to make decisions that align with your long-term objectives, and the temptation to indulge in immediate gratification becomes less powerful. With each victory, no matter how small, you'll notice that your willpower becomes stronger, and your ability to stay focused on what matters improves. One of the most significant challenges to self-discipline is the constant barrage of distractions that we face in modern life. Technology, social media, and endless entertainment options can easily pull us away from the tasks at hand. Critical thinking helps you cut through this noise by giving you the ability to prioritize. It allows you to assess the importance of each activity in the context of your goals and values. Rather than letting distractions hijack your time, critical thinking empowers you to make intentional decisions about where you place your attention. When you develop the habit of asking yourself, "Does this align with my goals?" before engaging in an activity, you create the mental space to focus on what truly matters. At the heart of self-discipline is the ability to say no. You will constantly be faced with opportunities, invitations, and distractions that can pull you away from your objectives. The ability to say no without feeling guilty is a powerful tool. It's a recognition that every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your goals, you are saying no to your future success. It's a decision to guard your time and energy with the same care that you would guard any valuable resource. Critical thinking plays a key role in this process because it allows you to evaluate each opportunity and determine whether it's worth your time. When you can say no to the things that don't serve your goals, you open up the space and energy needed to say yes to the things that matter. Self-discipline also requires you to set boundaries, not just with others, but with yourself. Often, we are our own worst enemies. We set goals, but then fail to follow through because we make excuses or let ourselves off the hook too easily. Critical thinking helps you recognize when you are making excuses. It allows you to ask yourself why you're avoiding a task and what the underlying reasons are. Are you procrastinating because you're afraid of failure? Are you putting something off because it's difficult or uncomfortable? By identifying the root causes of your resistance, you can take steps to address them. Critical thinking helps you break down these mental barriers and take action, even when it feels hard. Another aspect of self-discipline is the ability to stay consistent, especially when the results are not immediate. Many people struggle with consistency because they want instant gratification. We live in a world that rewards fast results, whether it's through social media likes, quick fixes, or rapid responses. However, true success requires long-term commitment and consistent effort. Critical thinking helps you stay grounded in the reality that success doesn't happen overnight. It reminds you that the path to achieving your goals is often slow and steady. When you're able to look at your progress through the lens of critical thinking, you can see the small victories that add up over time, even if they don't seem significant in the moment. This perspective helps you stay focused and motivated, even when the process feels like it's taking longer than expected. Setting clear goals is another critical part of developing self-discipline. Without clear goals, it's easy to become distracted or lose motivation. Critical thinking helps you define what you truly want and why it matters. By understanding your deeper motivations, you give yourself a sense of purpose that fuels your discipline. When you know exactly why you're working toward a goal, it becomes easier to stay committed, even when challenges arise. This is why goal setting is not just about listing things you want to accomplish. It's about understanding the emotional and practical reasons behind those goals. Critical thinking encourages you to dig deeper, to ask yourself why each goal is important, and how achieving it will improve your life. In addition, self-discipline involves learning to manage your energy, not just your time. Often we think of discipline in terms of time management, scheduling every minute of the day to ensure productivity. While time management is important, it's equally vital to manage your energy levels. Critical thinking helps you assess when you are most productive and focused, and when you are prone to distractions or fatigue. By aligning your most important tasks with your peak energy periods, you maximize your effectiveness. Similarly, critical thinking helps you recognize when you need rest so you don't burn out. Self-discipline isn't just about working hard. It's about working smart and taking care of your mental and physical well-being. Another challenge to self-discipline is maintaining motivation over the long haul. It's easy to start strong, but maintaining momentum over time requires a deep understanding of why you started in the first place. Critical thinking helps you stay connected to your purpose and reminds you of the bigger picture when the going gets tough. By reflecting on your progress and reassessing your goals regularly, you can reignite your motivation and keep moving forward, even when obstacles arise. As you work on building self-discipline, remember that it's a continuous process. It's not something you achieve overnight or even in a few months. It's a lifelong commitment to making decisions that align with your values, goals, and vision for the future. Critical thinking is the tool that helps you stay focused, overcome challenges, and stay disciplined in the face of distractions. The more you practice it, the stronger your self-discipline will become. With time, you'll find that self-discipline is not just about sticking to a routine. It's about living with intention, making choices that move you toward your goals, and cultivating the habits that lead to long-term success. It's about understanding that every decision you make is a step on the path to becoming the person you want to be. Through critical thinking, you gain the insight, clarity, and motivation to turn discipline into a powerful force for positive change in your life.
Chapter 8. Mastering communication. Communication is at the heart of every relationship, whether it's personal, professional, or casual. It's how we connect with others, share ideas, express emotions, and ultimately shape our world. Yet, so many people struggle with communication, not because they lack the desire to connect, but because they haven't mastered the art of conveying their thoughts clearly and effectively. Mastering communication is a skill that can be developed, and it's essential for personal growth. It's not just about speaking well. It's about thinking critically, understanding others, and crafting your message in a way that resonates. At its core, effective communication starts with understanding the thoughts, beliefs, and perspectives of both yourself and the person you're speaking with. This requires deep listening. Too often, we're focused on what we want to say next instead of paying attention to the speaker. We might listen to respond, but we're not truly listening to understand. This reactive listening prevents us from fully grasping the message the other person is trying to convey. Critical thinking plays a major role here. It helps you step back from your own immediate reactions and truly absorb what the other person is saying. This deeper listening makes you more present in the conversation, allowing you to pick up on nuances, emotions, and unspoken words. Mastering communication means being aware of the words you choose. It's easy to use vague language, especially when we're unsure of what we're really trying to express. But effective communication demands precision. When you speak, the words you use create images, evoke emotions, and influence perceptions. Critical thinking allows you to choose your words carefully. It helps you evaluate whether your message is clear, concise, and to the point, or if it's getting lost in unnecessary jargon or filler. A key part of this is being intentional with your language. The more you understand the impact of your words, the more you can shape your message to achieve the desired outcome. However, communication is not just about words. Body language speaks volumes. In fact, nonverbal cues often communicate more than what is said. Your posture, facial expressions, gestures, and even the way you make eye contact all contribute to the message you're sending. Critical thinking enables you to be more self-aware of your own body language and helps you read the body language of others. By paying attention to these cues, you can gain a deeper understanding of how the other person feels and adjust your approach accordingly. Are they open, defensive, anxious, or confident? These visual signs help you tailor your response, ensuring your message is not only heard but felt. Another crucial component of communication is emotional intelligence. Understanding and managing your emotions, as well as recognizing and empathizing with the emotions of others, is key to effective communication. Emotional intelligence allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. When emotions are running high, it's easy to let frustration or anger take over. But critical thinking gives you the space to pause and assess the situation. You can evaluate whether your emotional response is helpful or whether it might cloud your judgment. By applying critical thinking in emotionally charged moments, you can maintain control, ensure that your message is clear, and keep the conversation productive. Effective communication also requires adaptability. Each person is different, and each conversation presents unique challenges. Some people respond well to directness, while others might need a gentler approach. Some conversations require logic and facts, while others need empathy and understanding. Critical thinking allows you to assess the situation and adapt your communication style accordingly. If someone is upset or defensive, for example, you can adjust your tone, pace, and choice of words to make them feel heard and respected. In contrast, if you're speaking with someone who prefers a logical, facts-based conversation, critical thinking helps you organize your thoughts and present them in a clear, structured way. One of the biggest barriers to effective communication is misinterpretation. The same words can mean different things to different people, depending on their backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. What one person considers a simple statement, another might perceive as an accusation. To avoid this, you must practice clarity. Critical thinking pushes you to consider how your words might be interpreted and whether there's room for confusion. It also encourages you to ask questions and seek clarification when something isn't clear. The more you take the time to understand the other person's perspective, the more likely you are to communicate effectively. Active listening is a powerful tool in communication, but so is asking the right questions. Often, the key to understanding someone else's point of view is not just listening to their words, but also asking questions that allow them to elaborate. When you ask the right questions, you open the door for deeper insights and better understanding. Critical thinking helps you ask questions that are thoughtful and meaningful. Rather than asking yes or no questions, you can use open-ended questions that encourage the other person to think more deeply and share more fully. This not only clarifies the conversation, but also helps build rapport and trust. Being able to explain complex ideas in simple terms is another critical aspect of communication. Sometimes, we have deep knowledge about a topic, but we struggle to convey it in a way that others can understand. Critical thinking helps you break down complex concepts and present them in a clear, digestible format. It encourages you to think about what the other person knows and what they need to understand. This skill is particularly valuable in professional settings, where you might need to explain a complicated issue to someone who doesn't have the same background or expertise. The ability to simplify your message without diluting its meaning is a sign of strong communication skills. Another important aspect of communication is feedback. Giving and receiving feedback is a vital part of growth, both personally and professionally. However, feedback can be difficult to give or receive, especially when it's critical. Effective communication involves being able to deliver feedback in a constructive, non-threatening way, while also being open to receiving feedback without becoming defensive. Critical thinking helps you evaluate how feedback will be received and how to present it in a way that encourages growth rather than causing hurt. It also helps you reflect on feedback you receive, allowing you to take it in, process it, and use it to improve without taking it personally. Being a good communicator also means being clear about your intentions. Many conflicts arise not because of what's said, but because of misaligned expectations. People often assume that the other person knows what they want or what they need, but they haven't actually said it. Critical thinking helps you identify your own intentions and ensure that you're communicating them clearly. This means being upfront about what you expect from others, whether in a personal or professional context, and encouraging others to do the same. One of the most important things to remember about communication is that it's not just about getting your point across. It's also about connecting with the other person. It's easy to focus on what you want to say, but real communication is about mutual understanding. This requires patience, empathy, and a genuine desire to understand and be understood. When you approach conversations with an open mind and a willingness to connect, you create an environment where both parties feel heard and respected. Mastering communication is a lifelong journey, one that requires continuous self-awareness, practice, and critical thinking. It's not about being the most eloquent speaker or the most persuasive person in the room. It's about connecting with others, understanding their perspectives, and sharing your own thoughts in a way that builds relationships and fosters understanding. With each conversation, you learn something new about yourself and others. The more you practice, the more natural and effective your communication will become. And when you communicate with clarity, intention, and empathy, you open the door to deeper relationships and greater success in every aspect of life.
Chapter 9: Smarter Financial and Career Decisions. When it comes to finances and career choices, the decisions you make today can shape your life for years to come. Yet, many people struggle with making the right calls when it comes to money or career moves. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the pressure of the choices in front of you, unsure whether to take that job offer, invest in a certain opportunity, or even manage your personal budget. But there's a way to approach these decisions with greater clarity and confidence. The key lies in applying critical thinking to your financial and career decisions. Financial decisions are often driven by emotion. We live in a culture that promotes instant gratification, where we're constantly encouraged to buy now and pay later. It's tempting to make purchases based on impulse or to think about money in terms of what can I get now rather than what will this cost me later. Critical thinking helps you step back from these immediate desires and evaluate your long-term goals. By focusing on the bigger picture, you can make decisions that align with your financial goals rather than your momentary impulses. Take a moment to think about the last time you made a financial decision that didn't work out the way you had hoped. Was it because you didn't give yourself enough time to think through the implications? Often, when we don't take the time to critically analyze our choices, we fall prey to temptation or the fear of missing out. But when you apply critical thinking, you break down the decision into manageable pieces. What will this purchase, investment, or financial choice truly cost? What are the risks involved, and are you prepared to handle them? What's the potential return on your investment, not just financially, but in terms of your peace of mind and your goals for the future? The same approach can be applied to career decisions. A career isn't just about earning a paycheck. It's about fulfilling your potential, aligning your skills with your passions, and making sure you're heading in the right direction. But how do you know if a job change or career path is the right move? Too often, we're swayed by external pressures, salary offers, peer expectations, or the allure of a prestigious title. It's easy to make decisions based on external validation, but critical thinking helps you turn inward to assess your true values and desires. Before making any career move, it's essential to evaluate whether the change aligns with your personal and professional goals. What are you hoping to achieve by taking on this new role or changing industries? Are you seeking growth, more freedom, more money, or something else? Understanding your own motivations helps you make decisions that are aligned with your long-term aspirations, rather than jumping into something because it seems like the next logical step or because it's what others think is best for you. Critical thinking also involves understanding the risks and rewards of a career change. Whether it's leaving a stable job to pursue a passion or accepting a higher-paying position that requires relocating, you need to think carefully about the trade-offs. Ask yourself questions like, how will this change affect your lifestyle, relationships, and mental well-being? Will it bring you closer to your ultimate career goals, or just provide temporary satisfaction? And most importantly, are you prepared for the challenges that come with making such a move? By evaluating the potential risks, you're not just making an emotional decision. You're crafting a well-thought-out plan that gives you a better chance of success. In both finance and career, decision-making is not just about reacting to external opportunities, but about creating opportunities for yourself. Critical thinking helps you evaluate your current situation and consider what changes you can make to improve your financial position or career trajectory. It involves assessing where you are now, where you want to be, and what steps you need to take to get there. It's about being proactive and strategic, not just reactive. And often, the best decisions aren't the ones that come with instant rewards, but those that contribute to long-term growth and stability. For example, let's say you're considering a job change. A higher salary might be tempting, but before you accept an offer, take time to think about how the new position will impact other areas of your life. Does the company culture align with your values? Will this job bring you fulfillment, or will you just be chasing a paycheck? The immediate financial reward may seem appealing, but critical thinking helps you consider the longer-term impact on your happiness and personal growth. The same applies when managing personal finances. It's not enough to simply track expenses and hope for the best. You need to think about your future. Where do you see yourself in 5, 10, or 20 years? What financial habits are you cultivating today that will set you up for success in the future? Are you saving consistently, or are you just living paycheck to paycheck? Critical thinking involves asking yourself these hard questions and being honest about your financial habits. By developing a clear understanding of where you stand and where you want to go, you'll be in a much stronger position to make smarter financial decisions. It's also important to recognize that both financial and career decisions are rarely black and white. Often, there are trade-offs. A decision might look good on paper, but it doesn't account for the full picture. For instance, a job with a higher salary might come with longer hours or increased stress. A financial investment might promise a high return, but it could also carry a significant amount of risk. Critical thinking helps you weigh the pros and cons of each option, assess how much risk you're willing to take, and decide whether the rewards are worth the potential cost. In both finance and career, there will always be elements of uncertainty. The future is never fully predictable, and risks are an inherent part of decision-making. However, by approaching these decisions with critical thinking, you can minimize unnecessary risks and make choices that are more informed and thoughtful. Being able to anticipate potential challenges, adjust your strategy as needed, and stay disciplined in your approach to both money and career will make you more resilient in the face of uncertainty. An often overlooked aspect of smarter financial and career decisions is the importance of learning from past mistakes. Failure is an inevitable part of life, but it doesn't have to be a roadblock. When you approach mistakes with a mindset of critical thinking, you can extract valuable lessons from each experience. Why did a particular decision not work out? What could you have done differently? What did you learn about your own decision-making process, and how can you apply those lessons to future choices? Being reflective and learning from past decisions will help you grow stronger and more capable in making better choices moving forward. As you continue to apply critical thinking to your financial and career decisions, you'll find that you become more confident in your ability to make sound choices. You'll begin to trust your judgment because you'll know you've taken the time to weigh your options, consider the risks, and assess the long-term impact. And most importantly, you'll recognize that success isn't just about making the right decision every time. It's about developing the skills and mindset that enable you to make better decisions, learn from the ones that don't go as planned, and continue to grow and evolve along the way. Critical thinking will guide you on this journey, helping you create a future that's not just successful, but fulfilling.
Chapter 10: Daily Critical Thinking Habits in a World That's Constantly Changing. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information we encounter every day. Whether it's news, social media, work emails, or the opinions of friends and family, there's a constant flood of ideas, perspectives, and claims being thrown at us. In such an environment, it's easy to default to automatic thinking, reacting without truly processing what we're being told. But developing daily critical thinking habits allows you to step back from this chaos and make more thoughtful, intentional decisions. It empowers you to cut through the noise and think clearly, which leads to better choices and a more fulfilling life. Critical thinking isn't just a skill you pull out when you need to solve a problem or make an important decision. It's a mindset you cultivate over time, one that influences how you approach each moment of the day. The beauty of critical thinking is that the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. It's not about waiting for a life-changing event to make a well-thought-out decision. It's about applying that intentional, reflective thinking to everything you do, big or small. One of the simplest daily habits you can build is to pause before reacting. This is especially important when emotions are involved. It's so easy to get swept up in the heat of the moment. Whether you're dealing with a disagreement at work, a frustrating situation with a friend, or a sudden challenge that catches you off guard, your natural instinct might be to react quickly, often emotionally, without fully processing what's happening. But critical thinking teaches you to slow down, even if just for a few seconds. By giving yourself that small window of time, you allow your brain to work through the situation logically, considering the facts and the possible consequences of your response. The pause doesn't need to be long, but it can have a huge impact. When you take that moment, you create space for clarity. You begin to ask yourself, what's really going on here? What are the facts? What do I know and what don't I know? What is my goal in this situation and how can I best achieve it? By doing so, you keep your emotions from clouding your judgment and make choices that are aligned with your true intentions. The more you practice this pause, the more it becomes an automatic part of your thinking process. Another valuable daily habit is questioning assumptions. Every day, you encounter situations that are influenced by assumptions, ideas, or beliefs that you take for granted without ever questioning their validity. These assumptions might come from your upbringing, cultural influences, or past experiences. While assumptions can help us navigate the world quickly, they can also limit our perspective. Critical thinking challenges you to question these assumptions and explore whether they are actually true or just accepted as fact. For instance, when you hear a piece of information, don't automatically accept it as truth. Ask yourself, is this true? How do I know this? What evidence supports this claim? This habit doesn't mean you have to doubt everything you hear or become cynical about the world around you. It simply means being more discerning, more aware of where information comes from, and how it fits with your own knowledge and experiences. By questioning assumptions, you open yourself up to new possibilities and avoid being trapped in outdated or limiting beliefs. This habit is especially important when you're presented with complex or controversial topics. Instead of rushing to conclusions, critical thinking encourages you to dig deeper, ask more questions, and engage with different viewpoints before making up your mind. Another powerful daily habit is practicing active listening. Critical thinking isn't just about analyzing your own thoughts. It's about understanding others' perspectives as well. We often listen to respond, which means we're just waiting for the other person to stop talking so we can share our own opinions. Active listening involves truly hearing the other person without interrupting, judging, or planning your response while they're speaking. It means giving them your full attention and processing their words thoughtfully. By actively listening, you gain a deeper understanding of the other person's point of view, which leads to better communication and more thoughtful responses. Active listening also means being aware of nonverbal cues. In many cases, what's not said is just as important as what is said. By paying attention to body language, tone of voice, and facial expressions, you can better understand the emotions and intentions behind the words. This deeper level of listening allows you to make more informed decisions in your interactions, whether it's in a personal conversation or a professional meeting. Active listening is a habit that fosters empathy, enhances relationships, and sharpens your critical thinking skills by giving you a fuller picture of any situation. A key aspect of critical thinking is reflection. The best way to improve is to regularly reflect on your actions, thoughts, and decisions. This habit doesn't need to be time-consuming or complicated. It can be as simple as taking a few minutes at the end of each day to think about the choices you made. What went well? What could have been done differently? Did you think through your decisions, or did you act impulsively? This kind of self-reflection helps you identify patterns in your thinking and behavior, and it gives you the chance to adjust and improve over time. These small moments of reflection compound into significant growth. Self-reflection also ties into a critical thinking habit of being open to feedback. Many people shy away from criticism, especially if it's not delivered in a way they're comfortable with. But feedback is an invaluable tool for growth. When someone offers constructive criticism, it's an opportunity to see things from another perspective. Instead of defensively rejecting feedback, critical thinking encourages you to take a step back and consider it objectively. What can you learn from this feedback? How can it help you improve in the future? Embracing feedback and using it to refine your thinking is a habit that will help you develop both personally and professionally. Time management is another area where critical thinking habits can make a huge difference. How you manage your time reflects your priorities, but it also reveals the way you think about tasks. When you have a long to-do list, it's easy to rush through everything without much thought. But critical thinking helps you prioritize tasks and tackle them one at a time. Instead of simply reacting to the pressure of deadlines or the demands of others, you approach each task with intention. You evaluate the importance of each one, considering the long-term impact of completing or delaying them. You also factor in the time and resources needed, making sure you're not overcommitting yourself. Critical thinking in time management also means learning to say no when necessary. It's easy to say yes to every request or opportunity that comes your way, but without careful consideration, this can lead to burnout or wasted energy. Learning to assess whether something is worth your time and whether it aligns with your goals is an essential skill. By applying critical thinking to your daily schedule, you make sure you're using your time wisely and focusing on the things that matter most. Another important habit is cultivating curiosity. Critical thinkers are always learning, whether it's reading a book, asking questions, or exploring new ideas. Staying curious helps you expand your knowledge base and refine your thinking. When you approach life with curiosity, you stay open to new possibilities and remain receptive to change. Critical thinking thrives in an environment of curiosity because it's about seeking deeper understanding and challenging your own assumptions. Curiosity encourages you to explore different perspectives, experiment with new approaches, and continuously grow as a thinker. Developing these daily critical thinking habits is not about perfection. It's about consistent, intentional practice. The more you make these habits a part of your daily routine, the more natural they will become. Over time, you'll find that you approach problems, challenges, and opportunities with greater clarity and confidence. You'll be able to make decisions more effectively, communicate more thoughtfully, and understand yourself and others on a deeper level. By cultivating these habits, you're not just improving your thinking, you're transforming your life. Chapter 11. Open-minded but not easily influenced. We live in a world full of noise. Everyone has an opinion, and with the rise of social media and digital platforms, those opinions are more accessible than ever. While it's easy to be swept up in the tide of other people's beliefs, there's a powerful skill that helps you navigate this sea of information, being open-minded but not easily influenced. It's a delicate balance, being open enough to consider new ideas, yet grounded enough to stand firm on what you believe when necessary. The core of this skill lies in the ability to approach every situation with curiosity and objectivity. Open-mindedness doesn't mean you have to accept every idea or belief that comes your way. It's about allowing room for different perspectives while also holding on to your own reasoning and judgment. It's about listening actively, asking questions, and weighing information without being swayed by emotion or bias. The challenge, however, is in finding that sweet spot where you're receptive without being manipulated, where you allow the world to teach you without losing yourself in the process. Being open-minded requires humility. It's an acknowledgement that no matter how much we know, there's always something more to learn. It means recognizing that other people's experiences and perspectives may have valuable lessons that can enrich our own lives. If you're too set in your ways, too rigid in your beliefs, you close off opportunities for growth. There's a beauty in the diversity of thought and experience that exists in the world. By keeping an open mind, you can engage with ideas that challenge your own, and in doing so, you become a more well-rounded person. But there's a difference between being open to new ideas and being easily influenced. Open-mindedness isn't about mindlessly absorbing every opinion you encounter. It's about evaluating new information critically, weighing it against your own experiences and values, and deciding what resonates with you. It's about having the confidence to explore different perspectives without losing your sense of self. This takes discipline because, in today's world, it's easy to fall into the trap of bandwagon thinking, just going along with what everyone else is saying, because it's easier than questioning the status quo. The key is to create a mental framework that allows you to stay grounded. It starts with knowing what you stand for, understanding your values, your principles, and your core beliefs. When you're clear about who you are and what you value, it's easier to sift through the noise and focus on the ideas that truly matter. Your values serve as a compass, guiding you through the maze of external influences. This doesn't mean you should never change your mind. In fact, being willing to change your mind when presented with compelling evidence is a sign of strength, not weakness. But when you know where your foundation lies, you can evaluate new ideas without losing sight of who you are. It's also essential to recognize the power of emotional intelligence when practicing open-mindedness. Our emotions can sometimes cloud our judgment, making us more susceptible to influence, especially when a situation triggers a strong emotional reaction. For example, if someone challenges your deeply held beliefs, it's natural to feel defensive. But rather than reacting impulsively, open-mindedness invites you to take a step back, acknowledge your feelings, and then assess the situation with a clear mind. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. It means not letting them dictate your decisions. Emotional intelligence enables you to engage in conversations without letting your feelings overwhelm your reasoning. Part of being open-minded also involves embracing the discomfort of disagreement. We often surround ourselves with people who share similar beliefs, making it easy to reinforce our own views. But true growth comes from engaging with those who challenge us, who ask tough questions, and who offer alternative perspectives. Rather than avoiding these conversations, it's important to lean into them. Disagreement doesn't have to lead to conflict. It can be an opportunity for learning, for refining your beliefs, and for expanding your understanding of the world. When you can listen to opposing viewpoints without feeling threatened, you open the door to deeper insight and stronger relationships. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything you hear. In fact, disagreeing thoughtfully is a powerful tool in itself. You don't need to be swayed by every opinion you encounter, but you should be willing to engage thoughtfully with those opinions. This approach to disagreement fosters respect, which is essential for meaningful dialogue. When you can disagree without being disagreeable, you show that you value the process of discussion over the need to be right. You create space for constructive debates, which are far more productive than simply shutting down differing viewpoints. Another aspect of being open-minded but not easily influenced is knowing when to trust your own intuition. While it's important to consider other perspectives and gather as much information as possible, there are moments when your intuition and gut feelings should guide your decisions. Intuition isn't about disregarding logic or reasoning. It's a culmination of your past experiences, knowledge, and emotions that come together to form a sense of what's right for you in a given situation. Learning to trust your intuition while still remaining open to new ideas is a balance that comes with practice. It requires confidence in your ability to make decisions and the humility to recognize that you don't always have all the answers. Being open-minded also involves a willingness to learn and grow. In a world where change is constant, those who resist change often find themselves stuck. Open-minded individuals are lifelong learners, constantly seeking out new experiences, acquiring new knowledge, and refining their thinking. This kind of growth mindset is essential in today's fast-paced world, where adaptability is key to success. By remaining open to new information and adjusting your perspective as you learn, you set yourself up for long-term success and personal fulfillment. In practical terms, this means making space for reflection in your daily life. When you're faced with new ideas, take the time to pause and think critically about them. What's the source of the information? What's the evidence supporting this idea? How does it align with your own values and experiences? By taking the time to process new information thoughtfully, you avoid being swept up in the opinions of others. You become more discerning, better able to identify ideas that resonate with you and discard those that don't. At the same time, It's important to remain humble in the face of new ideas. No one knows everything, and we all have blind spots. Embracing the possibility that we could be wrong allows us to remain open to new ideas while still maintaining our integrity. It's not about accepting everything that comes our way, but about being willing to engage with it in a thoughtful, non-judgmental way. In a world where we're constantly bombarded with external influences, being open-minded but not easily influenced is a skill that helps us stay true to ourselves while remaining receptive to the wisdom of others. It allows us to sift through the noise, to make informed decisions, and to continue growing as individuals. By practicing this skill, you can maintain your integrity, engage in meaningful conversations, and open yourself up to new experiences without losing sight of who you are. It's a balance that, once mastered, empowers you to navigate life with greater clarity and confidence.
Chapter 12. Strategic Thinking for Success. Success doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of careful planning, focused effort, and strategic thinking. It's the ability to think several steps ahead, anticipating obstacles and preparing for them before they arise. Strategic thinking is a skill that can be developed with practice, and it plays a pivotal role in achieving your goals, whether they're personal, professional, or a combination of both. Strategic thinking isn't about being opportunistic or chasing after every shiny new object that comes your way. It's about being intentional in your choices, understanding the long-term implications of your actions, and aligning your decisions with your ultimate objectives. It requires a clear understanding of where you are, where you want to go, and what resources you need to get there. This kind of thinking begins with self-awareness. You have to understand your strengths, weaknesses, and your personal goals. Without this clarity, you might find yourself drifting in one direction today, another tomorrow, and never really making significant progress toward your desired outcome. It's essential to know what you're aiming for and why it matters to you. When you're grounded in your own purpose and priorities, strategic decisions become easier to make because they align with your true values and vision. The first step in strategic thinking is defining your goals clearly. Many people fail to get where they want to go because they haven't fully defined what success looks like for them. It's not enough to say, "I want to be successful." What does success mean for you? Does it mean financial independence, career advancement, a healthier lifestyle, or something else entirely? Without clarity on what you're striving for, you can easily be sidetracked by distractions, even when they seem to offer immediate gratification. The more specific and measurable your goals are, the easier it is to chart a course toward them. Break your big goals into smaller, actionable steps, and identify the milestones along the way. Once you have a clear vision of what success looks like, the next step is to plan your path. Strategic thinking requires you to anticipate challenges, identify potential risks, and create contingency plans. When you begin a new project or set a new goal, it's tempting to focus solely on the positive outcomes you're hoping for. However, you must also acknowledge the potential obstacles that might stand in your way. Whether it's a lack of resources, time constraints, or external opposition, the ability to foresee these challenges gives you a powerful advantage. The best strategists don't just react to obstacles. They plan for them in advance. If you've anticipated what could go wrong, you're much more likely to remain calm and make thoughtful decisions when things don't go as planned. Think of your plan as a road map, but one that's created with flexibility in mind. Life rarely follows a straight path, and being able to adjust your strategies on the fly without losing sight of your ultimate goal is key to long-term success. This is where critical thinking and adaptability come into play. Strategic thinking isn't a one-time exercise. It's a process that involves constantly reviewing and adjusting your approach. If you've built a plan but are not willing to adapt to new information or shifting circumstances, your strategy will quickly become outdated. Successful people are those who learn from both their successes and their failures, adjusting their approach based on the lessons they've learned along the way. Another key component of strategic thinking is time management. The most successful people don't just work hard. They work smart. They understand the importance of prioritizing their tasks and focusing on the activities that have the greatest impact on their long-term success. This requires the ability to assess where you're spending your time and whether those activities are moving you closer to your goals. Time is one of the few resources we can't get back once it's spent, so using it wisely is one of the most powerful strategies for success. Time management also involves knowing when to say no. As you pursue your goals, you'll inevitably encounter opportunities that sound enticing but don't align with your overall strategy. Learning to say no is an essential part of staying on track. It can be difficult, especially when you're being pulled in different directions, but when you say no to things that don't serve your long-term objectives, you're actually saying yes to your vision. Your ability to focus on what matters most will determine your level of success. Building a network of support is also an important part of strategic thinking. The right people can help you achieve your goals faster, provide valuable insights, and offer guidance when you encounter obstacles. Surround yourself with individuals who share similar values and have complementary skills. These relationships can be a source of strength when the journey gets tough, and they can also open doors to new opportunities that you may not have been aware of on your own. Strategic thinkers also understand the power of learning. The world is constantly changing, and successful people are those who are committed to continuous learning. Whether it's staying up to date on industry trends, developing new skills, or seeking out mentors, learning fuels growth and innovation. Every failure, every setback, every new challenge offers an opportunity to learn and refine your strategy. The more you know, the better equipped you'll be to adapt to whatever challenges come your way. One thing that sets strategic thinkers apart is their ability to focus on the long term, even when short-term challenges are intense. It's easy to get caught up in immediate concerns, the pressing deadline, the urgent email, the crisis of the day. But successful strategists are able to keep their eyes on the bigger picture, even when it's tempting to focus solely on the immediate task at hand. This long-term perspective allows them to make decisions that are aligned with their ultimate goals, rather than being derailed by temporary distractions. At the same time, it's important to recognize that no strategy is perfect. Every plan will require adjustments along the way. You may discover that a particular approach isn't working as expected, or you may encounter unforeseen obstacles that require you to pivot in a new direction. Strategic thinking involves staying flexible and being willing to change your approach when needed. The ability to course-correct is just as important as the ability to plan. As you continue to develop your strategic thinking, it's crucial to maintain a mindset of resilience. The road to success is rarely smooth. There will be setbacks, challenges, and moments of doubt. But the ability to push through adversity, to stay focused on your goals, and to adapt when necessary will be what ultimately sets you apart. Resilience isn't about avoiding failure. It's about bouncing back stronger and smarter each time you face a challenge. Strategic thinking also involves an awareness of your resources, time, money, energy, and relationships, and how to allocate them effectively. Resources are finite, and knowing how to make the most of what you have is crucial. It's not just about working harder, but about working smarter, understanding where your energy is best spent, and being intentional with every decision you make. By focusing on the bigger picture, refining your strategies, and staying adaptable in the face of change, you create a roadmap that leads you to success. Strategic thinking helps you navigate uncertainty, overcome obstacles, and ultimately achieve your goals with purpose and confidence. In a world full of distractions and constant change, the ability to think strategically is more important than ever. It's the skill that separates those who are successful from those who merely wish for success.
Chapter 13. Mental Models for Smarter Thinking. Every day, we make decisions. Some are small and insignificant, like choosing what to have for breakfast, while others are larger and more impactful, like deciding which career path to pursue or how to handle a challenging relationship. What many people don't realize is that these decisions are often influenced by mental models, the mental frameworks we use to understand and navigate the world. These mental models shape how we perceive situations, solve problems, and ultimately make choices. Understanding and using mental models can greatly enhance your ability to think clearly, solve problems more effectively, and make better decisions. They provide a structure for how we think about the world and help us simplify complex situations. Mental models are not about rigidly applying one method to every situation, but rather understanding which model is the most useful in a given context. For example, when faced with a business decision, you might use the mental model of cost-benefit analysis, where you weigh the potential benefits of an action against its associated costs. When dealing with people, you might turn to the model of reciprocity, which suggests that people tend to return favors and kindness. In each situation, you pull from a different set of mental models to guide your thinking. The real power of mental models lies in their ability to give you a toolkit for thinking. Instead of approaching every problem with the same thought process, you learn to assess the situation and select the model that best suits it. This makes you more flexible, adaptive, and capable of handling a wide variety of challenges. It's like being a skilled problem solver who can pull out just the right tool at the right time. One of the best ways to start developing a diverse set of mental models is by learning from a variety of disciplines. This is known as lateral thinking, where you expand your understanding by looking at problems and solutions from different angles. For instance, a concept from physics might help you understand a business problem. A principle from biology might provide insight into improving your personal relationships. The more you expand your mental models, the more tools you have at your disposal to tackle life's challenges. Take the model of inversion, for example, which comes from the field of mathematics and is widely used in problem solving. The idea behind inversion is simple but powerful. Instead of thinking about how to achieve your goal, think about what would prevent you from achieving it. What are the obstacles or mistakes you could make that would lead to failure? By focusing on the negative, you often gain clarity on the positive actions you need to take to succeed. This mental model helps you avoid common pitfalls and encourages more thoughtful decision-making. Another valuable mental model is the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule. This model suggests that roughly 80 of the results come from 20 of the efforts. Applying this model in your life means focusing on the few tasks, people, or activities that contribute the most value. In business, for example, you might find that 80 of your profits come from just 20 of your clients. By identifying and focusing on that crucial 20, you can significantly boost your effectiveness and productivity. Mental models are also incredibly helpful in managing risk and uncertainty, which are constant parts of life. The circle of competence model, for instance, teaches that you should only make decisions in areas where you have knowledge or expertise. While it may be tempting to venture into unfamiliar territory, it's far safer and more effective to focus on what you know. This helps reduce the risk of making poor decisions based on a lack of understanding. Another model related to risk management is the concept of first principles thinking, made popular by thinkers like Elon Musk. First principles thinking encourages you to break down complex problems into their most basic elements and then rebuild them from the ground up. Instead of relying on assumptions or conventional wisdom, you start with what is absolutely known to be true and work your way from there. This allows you to approach problems in a more innovative and fundamental way, avoiding the biases that can come from pre-existing beliefs. One of the most important aspects of mental models is understanding that they are not meant to be static. As you gain more experience, read more books, or encounter different situations, your mental models will evolve and expand. The best way to improve your thinking is to constantly challenge and update your models. This ongoing process of learning and adapting ensures that your approach to problem solving remains fresh, relevant, and effective. While it's essential to accumulate a wide variety of mental models, it's equally important to know when not to use them. In some cases, the complexity of a situation calls for simplicity, and trying to force a model that doesn't fit can overcomplicate things. Mental models should serve as tools, not rigid rules. They're meant to guide you, not limit you. If you try to apply a model in every situation, you might miss nuances that require a more flexible or nuanced approach. The goal of using mental models is to enhance your thinking and help you make better decisions. But just as important as knowing which models to use is knowing when to pause and reflect before making a decision. This reflective process allows you to step back, gather more information if needed, and consider the broader context. Sometimes, the most important decision is to not rush into action, but to take time to fully understand the situation. Another crucial part of applying mental models is recognizing the limits of your thinking. No model, no matter how powerful, is perfect. The key is to combine different models to form a more comprehensive approach. When you're faced with a difficult decision, don't just rely on one model. Pull from several to get a fuller perspective. For example, when considering a financial investment, you might use the model of opportunity cost to weigh the potential returns against other opportunities, the availability heuristic to consider recent experiences, and the confirmation bias model to ensure you're not just seeking information that supports your pre-existing beliefs. Your mental models should evolve with you. They should reflect not only the current knowledge you have, but also your personal experiences and growth. When you develop this toolkit for thinking, you start to see the world differently. Problems become less daunting because you have a broader set of strategies to approach them. Decisions feel less overwhelming because you have a clear way to weigh options and anticipate consequences. The beauty of mental models is that they give you a kind of clarity and control over your decisions and your life. They help you filter out noise and focus on what truly matters. They help you make better choices, not based on gut feelings or fleeting emotions, but on a rational, well-rounded understanding of the situation. The more you use these models, the more natural it becomes to integrate them into your everyday thinking. Over time, you begin to develop a kind of thinking muscle that allows you to approach any challenge with confidence and insight. Mastering mental models isn't about memorizing a list of rules or frameworks. It's about training your mind to think in structured, adaptive ways. It's about understanding that the world is complex, and that the more tools you have to navigate it, the better equipped you'll be to face whatever comes your way.
Chapter 14: Learning how to learn. Learning is not a passive activity. It's not just about sitting in a classroom, listening to a lecture, or reading a book. Real learning, the kind that leads to growth and transformation, happens when you actively engage with information, question it, and make it your own. It's about turning knowledge into wisdom. This is why the process of learning how to learn is such a powerful and essential skill. The ability to learn effectively is something that can change the entire course of your life. The best part? It's a skill that anyone can develop. Most people approach learning as though it's just about absorbing facts. But the truth is, it's not enough to simply know something. You need to understand it deeply and be able to apply it in various contexts. This is what separates shallow knowledge from deep learning. It's the difference between knowing the theory of something and being able to put that theory into practice. When you focus on learning how to learn, you start to uncover the deeper layers of understanding. You stop memorizing facts and start building connections between concepts. One of the most important things to understand about learning is that it's not linear. It's not a straight path where you start at point A and move to point B. Sometimes, learning requires you to take a few steps backward before you can move forward. It's full of twists and turns, with moments of confusion and frustration. But these moments are part of the process. They're not signs of failure. Rather, they're signs that you're challenging yourself, pushing past your comfort zone, and stretching your mind to grow. One of the keys to becoming a better learner is embracing the discomfort that comes with it. We often shy away from things that feel difficult or unfamiliar, but it's in those moments of difficulty that true learning happens. The brain is like a muscle. It strengthens when you push it to its limits. When you force yourself to think critically, to work through challenges, to approach problems from different angles, you're building neural connections that will help you think faster, smarter, and more creatively in the future. It's also important to remember that learning isn't just about doing. It's about reflecting on what you've done. Reflection allows you to process the information you've absorbed, to make sense of it, and to determine how it fits into the bigger picture. This is where much of the real learning takes place. After a difficult task or challenge, take a moment to pause, reflect, and think about what worked, what didn't, and how you can improve next time. This simple habit of self-reflection will accelerate your learning and ensure that you don't just forget the lessons you've learned. Another critical aspect of learning how to learn is cultivating a mindset of curiosity. People who are constantly curious are the ones who continue to grow and evolve. They ask questions, seek out new information, and constantly strive to improve. This mindset helps you stay open to new ideas and allows you to learn from experiences that you might otherwise overlook. It's about approaching the world with a sense of wonder and excitement. Instead of seeing learning as a chore or obligation, curiosity leads to exploration. It opens doors to new experiences and new ways of thinking. But curiosity also requires discipline. It's easy to get distracted, to chase every new idea that comes your way, and to jump from one topic to another without ever mastering anything. The key is to find balance. Pursue your curiosity, but also focus on deepening your knowledge in areas that matter most to you. Instead of spreading yourself too thin, commit to learning something deeply, whether it's a subject, a skill, or a craft. This focused attention will create mastery over time. One of the best ways to accelerate your learning is to actively teach others. Teaching forces you to break down complex concepts into simpler terms, which in turn helps you understand them better yourself. When you explain something to someone else, you are forced to make sure that you truly understand it before you can teach it. This process of teaching, whether formal or informal, reinforces the material in your own mind and strengthens your understanding. It's also crucial to realize that learning doesn't happen in isolation. Collaboration is a powerful tool for learning. Engaging in discussions, exchanging ideas, and getting feedback from others can open your mind to new perspectives. It allows you to see things from angles you might never have considered and helps you identify blind spots in your understanding. Learning in a social context, whether through study groups, mentoring relationships, or online communities, can be incredibly enriching. It keeps you motivated, accountable, and engaged in the learning process. Technology has also revolutionized the way we learn. There are endless resources at your fingertips, online courses, podcasts, videos, forums, and articles that can help you gain new knowledge and deepen your understanding. But with all of this information comes a challenge: the need to filter through what is useful and what isn't. It's easy to get lost in the sheer volume of information available, so it's important to be intentional with how you use technology. Choose resources that align with your learning goals, and make sure you're not just consuming information for the sake of it, but actively engaging with it. One of the challenges that many people face when it comes to learning is the fear of failure. We often think that learning should be easy, and if it's not, we get discouraged. But failure is an integral part of the learning process. It's through failure that we learn what doesn't work, and that knowledge is just as valuable as understanding what does work. Instead of fearing failure, embrace it as an opportunity to grow. When you fail, ask yourself what went wrong, what you can learn from the experience, and how you can adjust your approach moving forward. As you continue to grow and learn, it's important to remember that learning is a lifelong journey. You will never arrive at a point where there is nothing left to learn. There will always be more to explore, more to understand, and more to master. The moment you stop learning is the moment you stop growing. So, approach learning not as a task to be checked off, but as an ongoing process that will last a lifetime. Embrace it as part of your identity. The more you make learning a part of who you are, the more natural and effortless it will become. Always remember that learning isn't just about knowledge. It's about becoming a better version of yourself. The more you learn, the more you are equipped to navigate life's challenges, make wiser decisions, and contribute meaningfully to the world around you. When you learn how to learn, you unlock the ability to transform not only your mind but also your life. Chapter 15, Becoming a Lifelong Critical Thinker. Life is a continuous journey of growth, and to embrace it fully, you need to develop a mindset that values constant learning and self-improvement. The process of becoming a lifelong critical thinker isn't something you achieve once and for all. It's a practice, a way of living that deepens over time and adapts with the challenges and experiences that life throws your way. If you want to transform your life, then learning to think critically, consistently, and strategically is a skill that will serve you for as long as you choose to nurture it. One of the most powerful things about being a lifelong critical thinker is that it keeps you open to new ideas and perspectives. We live in a world that's constantly evolving. New technologies, new philosophies, and new ways of doing things are introduced every day. If you close yourself off to this ongoing process of change, you limit your ability to grow. But when you learn to think critically, you open yourself to the possibility that there is always more to understand, more to explore, and more to experience. You learn to take in information without judgment and then sift through it to understand its value, relevance, and implications. A crucial aspect of being a lifelong critical thinker is having the courage to challenge your own assumptions. Most people go through life holding on to their beliefs as though they are unchangeable truths. But the most intelligent people are those who can question what they believe and remain open to adjusting their perspective based on new information. Life is unpredictable. You don't know what tomorrow will bring, but with a critical thinking mindset, you can adapt and adjust as needed. The best decisions are often made by those who can step back, take a breath, and ask themselves, is this really true? Is this the best course of action? Being a lifelong critical thinker also means learning to balance confidence with humility. It's easy to become overly confident in what you know, especially when things are going well. But this can be a trap. Confidence is important, but it must be tempered with humility. Humility allows you to recognize that no matter how much you know, there is always something more to learn. No matter how good you are at something, there's always room for improvement. This mindset fosters continuous growth and ensures that you never stagnate. It allows you to embrace the idea that learning is an ongoing process, not something that ends once you achieve a certain goal or milestone. Critical thinking also involves a great deal of emotional intelligence. It's easy to let emotions drive our decisions, but this can lead to impulsive actions and regrets. One of the hallmarks of a lifelong critical thinker is the ability to make decisions based on logic and reason, not emotions. This doesn't mean disregarding your feelings or ignoring your intuition. Instead, it means recognizing when your emotions might be clouding your judgment and taking a step back to assess the situation more objectively. Being aware of your emotions and managing them effectively is a skill that is developed over time and is crucial to becoming a successful critical thinker. As you continue to develop your ability to think critically, it's also important to keep in mind the power of perseverance. Not every idea or decision will yield immediate results. Sometimes, it takes time to see the fruits of your labor. Life can be challenging, and the process of critical thinking often involves setbacks, detours, and obstacles. But perseverance is what separates those who give up from those who push through. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to refine your thinking and improve your ability to handle adversity. When you develop the ability to persevere through difficulties while maintaining your critical thinking skills, you build resilience. This resilience will become one of your greatest assets as you navigate life's complexities. Building a lifelong habit of critical thinking also means staying curious and asking questions. When you stop asking questions, you stop growing. The world is full of mysteries, complexities, and opportunities to expand your understanding. If you stop questioning, you stop searching for answers, and when you stop searching for answers, you stop evolving. A lifelong critical thinker is constantly questioning, exploring, and challenging the status quo. They ask why and how, seeking deeper insights and richer understandings. This insatiable curiosity fuels growth and keeps the mind engaged in the process of lifelong learning. One of the most transformative aspects of becoming a lifelong critical thinker is the way it shapes your interactions with others. As you hone your critical thinking skills, you'll start to engage with people in more thoughtful and meaningful ways. Instead of merely reacting to what others say, you'll begin to listen actively, considering their words and perspectives before offering your own. This ability to engage deeply with others will improve your relationships, foster empathy, and create a foundation of respect and understanding. Whether you're working with a team, collaborating on a project, or just having a conversation with a friend, critical thinking helps you approach these interactions with an open mind, a thoughtful approach, and a genuine desire to understand. Moreover, lifelong critical thinking helps you become a better decision maker. The more you practice analyzing situations, considering alternatives, and weighing the pros and cons, the better equipped you'll be to make choices that align with your long-term goals. Critical thinking involves being able to see beyond the immediate circumstances and assess the long-term implications of your decisions. It means taking into account both the short-term benefits and the long-term consequences. When you develop this ability, you become more adept at making decisions that support your personal growth and the growth of those around you. As you continue to grow and evolve as a critical thinker, remember that it's important to celebrate your progress. The journey of lifelong learning is not always easy, and there will be times when you face challenges and doubts. But these challenges are part of the process. Every time you stretch your thinking, every time you question your assumptions, and every time you apply your critical thinking skills to solve a problem, you move forward. Celebrate these victories, no matter how small they may seem. They are the stepping stones on your path to becoming a lifelong critical thinker. At the core of lifelong critical thinking is a commitment to personal development. It's not just about being smarter or more knowledgeable. It's about becoming a better version of yourself. It's about being someone who can think deeply, act wisely, and navigate the complexities of life with resilience, patience, and insight. The more you commit to this process, the more you'll find that life becomes not only more fulfilling but more purposeful. When you embrace lifelong critical thinking, you unlock the power to shape your own future and make a positive impact on the world around you. It's a journey that lasts a lifetime, and it's one worth taking.